There is no secret. It's all in the work. You got to roll up your sleeves and you got to do the work.
You can't do good business sitting on your backside.
Hey y'all, I'm Kendrick Shope. Now I know what you might be thinking. Oh great, here comes another person telling me a ton of skill sets that I need to run a successful business. But not so quick. I'm gonna share with you today a no BS, true way to make money in your business. Powerful women who get things done must know how to sell to men like Donald Trump because they're everywhere. Whether you're selling men on pro-choice, a promotion, or taking the trash out, you've got to know how to sell like a woman. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why do I need to sell to a misogynist pig like Trump? Screw him. But see, here's the thing, ladies. It's not just Trump. People like that are everywhere. And before you write me off and say she's crazy, she's some insane woman who doesn't know what she's talking about, hear me out. In order for you to achieve all that you want to achieve, in order for our daughters to achieve what we dream for them, we must know how to deal with men like Trump. Trump, for example, affects policies that are going to affect our rights for the rest of 4 years. Now, here's the thing. I know plenty of women who voted for Trump. I have good friends who voted for Trump. This is not necessarily about being political. This is about using Trump as an example. I know what you're thinking. I'm a school teacher. I don't need to deal with men like Trump. Well, consider yourself lucky if you have never run into a man who is only out for himself or who devalues women just a little bit. But as sure as my hair is red, if you haven't, you will. And I'm willing to bet that you probably already have. You're just choosing not to see it. You see, women, we are treated differently from men, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, I read the news the other day, and I saw lots of women saying, I voted for Trump. Why are you marching? We have equal rights. Get over it. And I have a question for you. Where in your life are you not seeing the discrimination? Let's think about the statistics. White women make 73 cents on the dollar compared to men. If you happen to be Latino, Black, Mexican, you make considerably less than that. Discrimination exists. I've talked on Sell Like a Woman, the podcast, numerous times about the Howard Heidi study and about how we're all, both men and women, guilty of judging people and their abilities based on sex. You can choose to bury your head in the sand. You can, but it exists. It exists in households in the deep South where men want to control the finances and think that women aren't smart enough to do so. It's happening, and not just in the South. That's just where I happen to be from. The truth is, it happens everywhere. You know, we're in this time of change, right? And a lot of you may be feeling or asking yourself, how can you make a difference? Some women even feel powerless. Some men even feel powerless. Here's the thing. Powerful women, you need to know how to navigate and sell to men like Trump to get things done. It doesn't matter if you're selling people on pro-choice, or if you are selling getting that promotion, or if you are just changing the way your husband or boss talks to you. Men like Trump are everywhere. You got to know how to navigate them because sexism exists. Now, you could be like a very good friend of mine. We'll call him Edwin. Edwin and I were at lunch the other day with some members of my family, and we were having a conversation about this. And I've been a little fired up. You know, I try really hard not to talk about politics and religion because it just doesn't lead to great places. But I've been finding it hard to hold my tongue since the election. And we're having this conversation about some tweet Trump made, which is almost laughable at this point, but it's not on the other hand. And he said, I just don't get it. Everyone said, I just don't get it, Kendrick. Why are smart, intelligent women all up in arms over this man? And I about choked on my pizza. I said, what am I missing here? You're a good person. You're a good man. You have a daughter and a wife, and don't you want them to have equal rights? And he said, they do have equal rights. They do. He said, this doesn't affect me. I think Trump is an ass, but I think he can save our economy. And it hit me right then, right there. You see, that's the problem. For so long, we've been told we have equal rights. You know, the women have the right to vote. Women have the right to have a credit card without a man's approval. Women have the right to wear what they want to wear. We live under the veil of equal rights. But let's go back to the stats. The stats show that things are not exactly equal. If you've ever read the book Feminist Fight Club, and if you haven't, you should, it is a hilarious line-by-line detail of what it's like to be a woman in corporate America. How men constantly interrupt you. How men always, if you're the only woman in the room, how men always ask you to go get the coffee. How if you are the CEO and your assistant happens to be a man, when you walk into a room full of men, they think it's reversed. And no, this isn't life-threatening. No, this isn't killing anybody. But the fact is, it still exists. Now, although I'm up on a soapbox right now, let me be clear. This is about how to navigate those men. I'm not trying to convince you that this still exists. I want you to understand that those men are out there. And they're not just Donald Trump. They are your husbands. They are our bosses. And they're not all bad men. And the degree of which this happens could be really, really small in your life. But it's happening. And so what I want you to take away from Sell Like a Woman is how you can run up against those men, and still get what you want. That's what this is about. Powerful women need to know how to get things done and how to sell to men like Trump, because they're everywhere. So how do you get what you want? Let's say, Kendrick, you're right. Let's say I'm going to run up against a man like this at some time in my life. How do I get what I want? Because it appears that if you take issue with a man like this, you lose, right? Megyn Kelly illustrated that for us in the election. All you got to do is read Donald Trump's Twitter profile to realize that people who take issue with him, his beliefs, his statements, don't fare so well. So how, as women, do we play to our strengths? Do we stay true to who we are and still get what we want when we run into men like Trump? Here's what I want you to take away. There are, and this isn't rocket science, there are all different personality types in this world, right? And when you are selling, you need to consider the type of person you're sitting across from, whether it's your husband, your boss, or your future customer. You don't sell to a super analytical person the same way you sell to an aggressive person who always thinks he's right. So let's consider this just for a moment. Let's consider that Trump's personality is the aggressor. Okay, that fits. That's where I would stick him. And in Sell Like a Woman, the book, we talk about all the different personality types that you're going to sell to. But for now, what you need to know is Trump would fit into the aggressor. And here's what you need to know about the aggressor. Their personalities have a color. It's red. It's dominant energy. They like to be right. They don't like to be told what to do. And they like to give their opinion. And they like to be the center. Now, that sounds bad, but here's the thing. I'm a red personality. Your personality color, your personality bucket isn't bad. It's who you are innately. It's who you are at your core. And most CEOs are a combination of aggressor and analytical, which we'll talk about analytical later. So I don't need you to view this as good or bad, but Donald Trump would fit into the aggressor bucket. He knows what he wants, and he's going to tell you, right? So how do you sell to men like Donald Trump? How do you navigate men like this, these aggressors, to get what you want? Even if the aggressor is a man that you love more than anything and you happen to be married to him. Number one, you appeal to their ego. I know, you might need to grab your trash can and vomit. Appeal to their ego, please, right? I know what you're thinking. Give me a break, Kendrick. I'm not going to appeal to his ego. He just insulted me. He just thinks I'm not good enough. Okay, hold on. Just hold on. You appeal to their ego. You don't walk in to a man like Donald Trump or a man who is an aggressor and say, you did it wrong, and this is how you need to fix it. Because I'm telling you right now, when you do that, you're going to get shut down and shut out. You don't do that. I heard an interview with Kellyanne Conway, who is Donald Trump's right-hand woman, for those of you who don't know. Like her, don't like her, I don't care. But she said one of the ways that she dealt with President Trump in the political campaign is she would go in and say, Mr. Trump, we're down in name your state. Your strategy is brilliant, appealing to his ego, but have you considered doing this? Or what do you think would happen if we did this? You see, you're still getting your idea in front of him. You don't have to say your strategy is brilliant if you don't want to, but you present an alternative, not fact, but an alternative solution and let the aggressor run with it. I used to have a doctor like this. He was not going to be sold to some young, long-haired, Southern woman in heels, wasn't going to come into his office after he'd been practicing medicine for 35 years and tell him what drug he needed to write. So what I would do is I would schedule coffee with him early in the morning, and I would say, Doctor, whatever your name is, help me understand. I know you know all the data about my product. I know you know, Dr. Whatever, that it's the best choice for disease state. What do you think, for people who are writing the competitor, which he was, is the most compelling argument? What do you think we ought to do out here? What do you think our message is? You see, Dr. Whatever his name was would sell himself on writing my drug. This is one of the ways you navigate the aggressor. You navigate men like Trump. You play to their ego. Now, you don't have to fall all over them and say, oh, you're so smart, I'm so helpless, what would you do? No. You still own your place, and we're going to get to that. But you go in and you say, let's have an intelligent conversation. Smart woman to smart man. We're doing X, and it may not be working so well. And I understand why we did X. It was a great strategy if it was. But what do you think would happen, smart man, if we did Y? Here's what I think would happen. What do you think? You appeal to their ego. Step number one. Step number two, what if things go bad? Because with the aggressor, they can go bad, right? I don't need to give you a dramatic play-by-play of all the things that have gone wrong for women when they deal with Donald Trump. Again, all you got to do is look at the man's Twitter profile, right? It's almost laughable. Seriously, it's almost laughable. What do? You take the high road. So Megyn Kelly is a great example of this. I read her book this year, and whether you like her, whether you don't, I say this all the time, I don't care. I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that Megyn Kelly was in a very public confrontation with Donald Trump during the last election. And while Trump was saying inappropriate things, while Trump was tweeting inappropriate things, while Trump was saying stuff that I had to try to explain to my 8-year-old daughter because it was all over the news, topics I hadn't even talked to her about yet, Megyn Kelly took the high road. Again, I don't care if you like her or if you don't. She didn't respond back. Fox News sent bodyguards to be with her on vacation because Trump supporters took it so far as to send her death threats. She took the high road. She didn't tweet back. She didn't get in this yeah meeting with him. You know what happened? Months later, Donald Trump called a meeting with Megyn Kelly. And she walks into Trump Towers, which I would say that's a big home field advantage, walking into Trump Towers. And Donald Trump says to her, in a way, I'm proud of you. Are you kidding me? This woman that he has publicly humiliated, he says, in a way, I'm proud of you. You got to read the book. It's a fantastic book. But here's the thing. You may be thinking, why do I give two flying flips if an aggressor like Donald Trump is proud of me? You don't. You don't need to make them your dad. You don't need them to be proud of you unless they stand in the way of you getting what you want. Because remember, these people are everywhere. And so if this is the person you got to sell, if this is your boss, if this is the superintendent of your child's school, if this is the person that you're married to, and maybe it's not I've lost my train of thought. Maybe it's not as big of a deal as it is with Donald Trump. Maybe it's just really, the husband really believes he needs to control the finances. Then you need to know how to navigate these people. You can't just run from them. And so again, you don't need to make this person your dad. You don't need their respect or their approval. But if they're standing in the way of you getting what you want by taking the high road, you do one of two things. You diffuse the situation, or it leads to a conversation like Megyn Kelly and Donald Trump had behind closed doors at at Trump Towers. Step number one, you appeal to their ego. Step number two, you take the high road. Because at the end of the day, your crap, whatever issues you're dealing with, I don't need to lower myself to behave like you're behaving. So you might be thinking, okay, great. Well, wow, Trump really gave her some respect, and how has that changed for her, and what has it changed for her? Well, let's look at what's happened to Megyn Kelly since then. Megyn Kelly since then has gotten one of the biggest contracts a woman has ever gotten in mainstream media. Now, Donald Trump didn't do that for her. No, he didn't. But the way she reacted to him and held her head high, I guarantee you, helped her get that contract. I guarantee you it did. You see, she had a choice of how to deal with an aggressor. Do I bite back? Do I fight back? Which is what I'm sure you would want to do. It's what I would want to do. Or do I say, I'm going to let you, just sort of self-destruct here, and I'm going to take the high road. And look how it worked out for her. Step number one, you appeal to their ego. If that doesn't work, step number two, you take the high road. The third thing that you have to do, and the final thing that you have to do when dealing with men like Trump, dealing with the aggressor in your life, is this. You got to own your place. We have talked about this over and over on Sell Like a Woman. You got to own your place in the street. You got to own your place in the boardroom. And you got to own your place in the bedroom. Kind of like Usher said, right? You have got to own your place. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. I had the amazing opportunity to fly down to Miami, Florida, and be a guest on Grant Cardone's network. For those of you who have been living under a rock, Grant Cardone is a sales god. He's a sales genius. He is the godfather of sales. You get what I'm saying? That interview was a huge opportunity for me, and it was okay. But it wasn't earth-shattering. The mountains didn't move. My business didn't change forever because of it, because I didn't own my place, because I was intimidated. In contrast, in November, I had the opportunity to be on the Steve Harvey Show, which is a bigger stage than Grant's network, just because it's on national television. The Steve Harvey Show, it was my first national appearance. And I had a couple of things that happened there where if I had not had some mental toughness, if I had allowed myself to go into a story, I would have shrunk. I would have not owned my place. But I remember sitting in that chair and saying to myself, this is your shot, blow him away. And you can give me feedback about how good or bad the interview was, but what I can tell you is it was much better than my interview with Grant. And we have 100 people on the waiting list already for the book because of that interview. Because I owned my place. Because I tell you what, I may not be a good cook, I may not be a great driver, but I am a damn good saleswoman. And so even if Steve Harvey, which he didn't, had taken a different strategy than what I was saying women need to do to sell, I knew that my opinion was valid. I had a right to be there, and I owned my place on that stage. Ladies, when you run into the aggressor, and I'm not at all suggesting that I know what Grant's personality is, although if I had to bet, I'd say he's an aggressor, or what Steve Harvey's is, and I don't know what his is. I don't know him well enough to know. And again, aggressor's not bad, right? Just because we're using Donald Trump doesn't mean the aggressor's bad. I'm the aggressor. But when you're dealing with personalities like this, when they are on your path to getting what you want, you need to appeal to their ego. If things go south, you need to take the high road. And number 3, you got to own your place. Women, you can physically see it when you don't own your place. Your body language changes. You shrink. It is, if you're not owning your place, if you don't have the mental toughness that you need to go toe to toe with whoever you're going with, you will get run over when you're dealing with the aggressor. Powerful women must know how to get things done. They must know how to sell like a woman to the aggressor, to men like Trump, because they're everywhere. Women, we got to stop selling like men. We're not going to get what we want by confrontation. It's not the way we're wired. So you need to do it the way you are wired to do it. Play to their ego. If things go south, take the high road and own your place. Own your right to be there. Own your opinion. Women, powerful women who get things done must know how to sell like Amanda Trump, because they're everywhere. I'm Kendrick Shope, and this is Sell Like a Woman, the podcast. Thank you for being here. I believe in you, and I believe in your business. Ladies, let's go out there and sell like only a woman can.